Hi, Peter Brown here again, the Social Studies Curriculum Coordinator, and I want to talk to you about one of my favorite strategies and something that is so vitally important to literacy. Today, we're going to talk about claims, evidence, and reasoning. So, it is like a pot of gold. It is amazing. It is valuable. It's the secret sauce. It is the good stuff. Now, I'm making myself hungry. We got to move on. One of the things I like about claims, evidence, and reasoning is that it is so cross curricular. It can be applied to any subject area because you're making a claim, you're finding evidence to support the claim, and then you're providing your reasoning. So it can be applied to any subject area, but I want to make this clear. Science is different. So science uses CER, but it is in a different way. So, the science coordinators will note that I am saying science is different. No, but science uses it in a different way. I'm not going to belabor the social studies, ELA and social studies standards and practices, but note that the claims, evidence, and reasoning is pulled directly from the ELA and the social studies standards. And like I said, they could be implemented in any number of other subject areas. So, what is CER? So, we're going to take a look at what is claims, evidence, and reasoning. It's a format for writing and evaluating informative and argumentative text. So, this is for informative and argumentative text. Well, that's a lot of what social studies is. And that's one reason why CER fits so well with social studies. So a claim, it's their thesis, the topic, conjecture, conclusion used to answer a question. So a big piece of that is a question. There has to be a question for them to answer. That's what we're looking for with claim. The evidence is going to be the data, the research, or textual support, such as quotes, that support the claim. So we're going to be looking for evidence that support my claim. And then the reasoning is the elaboration and explanation of how the evidence supports the claim. This can be done in an overarching fashion. It can also be done within a paragraph to make one paragraph. So we are going to look at it today through the context of social studies. Okay, well now let's go ahead and let's dig in a little deeper to what are we talking about with claims, evidence, and reasoning. So the claim, that's where we're going to start. The claim is an answer to a question. That's the oversimplified answer. The claim is an answer to a question. That's the simplified definition. So we are asked a compelling question, and the claim can be used summatively to answer a compelling question in an inquiry unit. It can be an essay question or in response to a text. So it can be something big. Most recently, we had 7th grade doing collaborative project-based learning projects, and the compelling question was, how should South Asia respond to an overpopulation? That is an overarching claim, but then there are supporting questions that need claims as well. The claim can also be used in formative assessments. I could have a question of the day, and their answer is their claim, and then throughout the day they can find evidence to support whatever it is their claim. They can be practiced throughout the day. Like, you could give opportunities to practice answering claims, evidence, and reasoning and creating claims, and they can be used in many different ways. They can be formal or informal. It doesn't always have to be a formal essay type thing. It can be informal as well. It could be given verbally. It doesn't have to be in written form. It doesn't have to be 5-paragraph essay. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So formal versus informal. Formal claims are given all right, 3, 2, 1. Formal versus informal claims. A formal claim they're many times given at the end of a unit or a lesson. Many times this is used in an essay. They can be used to drive instruction with textual evidence. So this is formal and more summative. Informal claims are more formative in nature. They can be used to answer a document-based question or answer the question of the day, or you could have a compelling question at the beginning of a class period, and the students have to provide a claim at the end of the class period. So it's still rather informal. It's not a 5-paragraph essay. It's not the answer to the end of the unit. It's just something that we're using for today. One of the things I've developed is a My Claims Evidence and Reasoning sheet. So this is an example, and I used a 3rd grade question just because I really enjoy talking about Bill Pickett. So the driving question, the compelling question, why should we remember Bill Pickett? So I'm going to have a claim to answer that. I'm going to provide evidence, and then I'm going to explain my evidence, how my evidence supports my claim. So claims, evidence, and reasoning. So this is from the Oklahoma Council for Social Studies, put together from the Oklahoma History Center and Pam Merrill. But this is just a little document about giving an overview of Bill Pickett. So I'm not going to read through this with you, but I'm going to move forward. So in my claims, evidence, and reasoning, I'm going to say Bill Pickett should be remembered for my claim. All right, 3, 2, 1. Bill Pickett should be my claim. 3, 2, 1. On my CER sheet, based off of that document, I'm going to say Bill Pickett should be remembered for his skills as a cowboy and his creation of bulldogging. Could I do something different? Yes, I would do this, first of all, with a class. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I'm going to create another video later on modeling this. So, but that's going to be my claim. So then the next thing we're going to have to do is find evidence. What evidence supports that? Well, I've already read the document. The students have already read it. We're going to make a claim, and then we're going to highlight our evidence. Evidence is text-based or textual. Text-based or textual evidence is most commonly used in social studies and in ELA. There can be multimodal evidence that appears throughout social studies. So it could be a chart, a graph, pictures, videos, songs. One of the important things, though, for this, that for literacy. All right, 3, 2, 1. The quote on the bottom is very important to me. Reading for evidence equals reading for a purpose. If we're not reading for a purpose and we're not understanding what it is that we are reading, the words that we're saying, we're just word calling. So reading for evidence is reading for a purpose. So I'm going to go back here real quick. Bill Pickett. So one of the things I have recommended to teachers is, okay, let's put this in a Word document. And now we're going to do this together and read through the class. And anytime you come to a word that someone doesn't know, they can raise their hand and highlight it in green. We can research that later. It's a great way to practice close reading as well. Now we're going to highlight the pieces of evidence in yellow. And so we go through and rodeo champion. Okay, that tells me he was pretty skilled as a cowboy. He became famous while working at the 101 Ranch in Ponca City. Well, he's famous. Okay, so he is a good enough cowboy that he's well known. He soon became the most famous cowboy in the country. Well, you don't do that by not being a skilled cowboy. So now I'm really interested. That's another piece of evidence. His special way for roping cattle was called bulldogging. And I'm not going to go through and read that to you verbatim, but that changed rodeo. So people would come from miles around to see it. Again, we recognize his skills. In the same year that Oklahoma became a state, 1907, Bill Pickett won the World Championship Rodeo. And you could see his picture in the Cowboy Hall of Fame. So those are pieces of evidence that I identified here. And so then I put them in my chart. Again, if I were teaching this, I would model this for the class and I would write it in together, especially in the lower grades. Once you get into the middle school and high school years, you're obviously going to have them do this more on their own. But for elementary, you need to be doing a lot of modeling with this. So it's going to be... So now I have my claim and my evidence. Let's check out some reasoning. Reasoning. This is the why. Why does the evidence support the claim? The reasoning explains the student's thought process and their understanding of the concept. This is what lets us know what they know. Are they just highlighting and copying things from the passage, or do they understand specifically why the evidence supports their claim? And so this is one of the keys. So here is our highlighted evidence. I'm not going to go through that all again. But then here's my response for reasoning. Bill is famous because he was a rodeo champion and world champion, means he's a skilled cowboy. He was the most famous of his time, so he must have been fun to watch. The fact that people came from miles around to watch him also supports the idea that he was skilled as a cowboy. And his use of bulldogging changed how some people rope bulls and is still incorporated in rodeos today. So that is my reasoning why my evidence supports my claim. Can it be more formal than this? Absolutely it can. Does it have to? No, not necessarily. So it doesn't have to be a big scary thing. Let's talk resources for a minute. So what can I provide you at this point to support you using claims, evidence, and reasoning? Obviously, we have this video, by the way. One of the things that I'm providing is my claims, evidence, reasoning chart. And so you could give this to your student, have your students use this. It'll be available in Canvas, and you could use the Google LTI, and a copy will be made for each of the students. As well, we have a module in Canvas for claims, evidence, and reasoning, and it is available on the in the Canvas Commons. And this is actually a link to it. Once I share the PowerPoint presentation or Google Slides presentation, then you'll be able to click on it and find it, or you can just search in the Oklahoma City Commons claims, evidence, and reasoning. We've provided a website, a checklist for claims, evidence, and reasoning, a graphic organizer, a quick 5-minute video, and then a video from the K20 Center on supporting arguments. So this is part 1 of CER. I don't want to belabor it and spend too much time. I don't want the video to be any longer than it already is. But I want you to know that we are going to have another video or two coming out that are going to have model specifics of this strategy, and I will teach through it. But this is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for listening, and please feel free to contact me if you have questions. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. My email, pdbrown@okcps.org. You can call me. My number is 587-0293. Thank you all so much, and have a great day.